The mask slips. Let's start here. A man does not leave because you are too strong. He does not leave because you are too independent. He does not leave because you suddenly became difficult. He leaves when he realizes his usual tactics no longer work on you, when the confusion stops working, when the guilt stops landing, when the silence doesn't scare you anymore, when the breadcrumbs don't keep you hungry. That's the moment he feels exposed. Because manipulation requires access. And the day you close that door, he doesn't adjust, he doesn't grow, he doesn't rise. He exits, not because you lost value, but because you regained power. Manipulation is not love, it's strategy. Manipulative men don't move randomly. They move strategically. They test, they observe, they push, they pull. They watch how much disrespect you'll tolerate, how quickly you doubt yourself, how often you explain instead of enforce. And when you're manipulable, you'll notice something. He's inconsistent, but confident you'll stay. He withholds, but expects access. He disappears, but assumes you'll be waiting. Because manipulation only works when someone believes, if I try harder, he'll change. But the day you stop trying to convince, the game changes. The moment he realizes you see him. Manipulative men fear clarity more than confrontation. You don't even have to yell. You don't have to argue. You don't have to accuse. All it takes is this energy. You stop over-explaining. You stop defending your boundaries. You stop reacting emotionally. You start responding calmly. You see him pause. You see the confusion. You see the sudden shift. Because now you're not confused. And when a manipulator is seen clearly, he panics. Why he doesn't stay and do better? Here's a hard truth most women aren't told. A manipulative man does not want an equal. He wants advantage. Growth would require accountability, emotional effort, vulnerability, loss of control. And control is the currency he values most. So when you stop chasing clarity, begging for consistency, accepting excuses, shrinking he realizes something terrifying. I can't control her perception anymore. And instead of rising to meet you, he leaves to find someone easier to manage. The lie. If I change, he'll stay. Let me dismantle this right now. You did not lose him by becoming stronger. You did not push him away by having standards. You did not scare him off by knowing your worth. What scared him was this. You stopped being available for emotional misuse. A manipulative man doesn't miss you. He misses the access, the attention, the forgiveness, the emotional labor. When that disappears, so does his interest. The signs he realizes he can't manipulate you anymore. Watch the pattern. He suddenly calls you cold. He accuses you of changing. He says you're not the same anymore. He claims you're being difficult or guarded. He pulls away instead of communicating. Why? Because you stopped reacting the way he trained you to. You stopped crying on cue. You stopped chasing closure. You stopped needing his validation. And manipulators hate emotional independence. Why his exit is not a loss. This is where many women spiral. They think if I had been softer, if I had been more patient, if I hadn't changed. But listen to me carefully. His leaving is confirmation, not rejection. It confirms you're no longer programmable, you're no longer easily guilted, you're no longer emotionally accessible without reciprocity. A man who leaves when manipulation fails was never planning to love you correctly. Why he may come back and why it's dangerous. Sometimes he returns, not healed, not evolved, not accountable. He comes back because his new supply saw through him faster. He misses the comfort of familiarity. He wants to test if you're still accessible. This is where many women fall back, because nostalgia is powerful, because history feels safe, because loneliness whispers lies. But if he left when he couldn't control you, he will try again if you let him. The real power move, the most powerful thing you ever did, wasn't confronting him. It was this. You became unavailable to dysfunction. You stopped negotiating your dignity. You stopped proving your worth. You stopped hoping potential would turn into behavior. You let silence speak. You let absence teach. You let him feel the consequence of losing access. That's strength. Who you become after he leaves. Here's what happens next. If you don't go backward, you become calm instead of anxious, observant instead of reactive, selective instead of desperate, grounded instead of confused. And the next man, he doesn't need to be managed. He doesn't test boundaries. He doesn't disappear to feel powerful. Because healthy men don't need manipulation to feel masculine. Final truth, say this slow. A man who leaves when he can't manipulate you was never aligned with the woman you were becoming. He didn't lose you. He lost access. And that's not heartbreak. That's freedom. If this message hit home, it's because you've outgrown someone who needed you to feel small. Stay strong. Stay unavailable to manipulation. Stay unavailable to manipulation. And remember, the right man won't leave when he can't control you. Was never trying to. Subscribe, like, and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.